What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehardyconstruction, as well as Instagram at the Hardy Construction with,
lard-covered human feces.
as well as
Beatbox.
from horrorharbor.tumblr.com. And today's film is
The Love Witch, 2016.
The Love Witch, 2016, directed by Anna Biller.
Anna Biller.
And written.
Written by Anna Biller as well, starring Samantha Robinson, Jeffrey Vincent Parise, Laura Waddell. A modern-day witch uses spells and magic to get men to fall in love with her. That's a very sparse explanation for this film. Released by Oscilloscope, a film company which I've been seeing. I would liken it to A24, where they release very obscure types of films. Although I think Oscilloscope releases even stranger films than A24 does. A24.
This is good, though.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said they're obscure and weird films.
You said you hated it. I heard you.
It's strange.
Oh, did you hear that? I'm not in the mood tonight.
Did everybody heard him say, I hate this movie so much?
It's funny. Thea has a cold. I don't feel like being a nice guy.
There's boogers,
and
there's boogers filled inside her.
Thea is sick. I don't feel like a nice guy tonight, and Danny is as usual. So, The Love Witch.
Hey.
Thea, why did you pick The Love Witch?
I picked it because I saw a lot of gift sets on Tumblr of it.
You mean
And it always-
GIFs, but go ahead.
GIFs.
GIFs.
I will take
The
I
guy
call
who-
them
the
gifts, too, to
grave.
be
The
honest.
guy who created GIFs calls it GIFs.
I don't care.
Who
Okay.
cares who calls it what?
It's a
We took
fucking
it over.
hard
It's
G.
ours now.
Okay,
You
Thea,
didn't
go
put a
ahead.
J in front of it. I don't care. I picked it because it looks beautiful. It's a beautiful looking movie, and I was very curious. I had heard a lot about it when it first came out, but I hadn't seen it yet, so it made my list.
So you're shallow. You chose it
I'm
based
very
only on
shallow.
looks.
That's the only reason I picked it.
So here's the thing.
You're only into the surface.
I had seen about the first 40 minutes of this film earlier this year, and because I'd seen the poster for it, and I was like, wow, that looks pretty neat, and I saw a bit of the trailer, and I was like, wow, this looks really beautiful looking film. And the thing is, The Love Witch is obviously a sort of modern version of a late 60s, early 70s, very early 70s type of camp movie. And it's done in Technicolor, I believe. I think it's actually still shot in film and done in Technicolor. And while
Yeah, they did it like old school.
and I mean, like, this lady, Anna Biller, is no joke. I will say this is probably the most unique film I've ever seen on Hardy Construction, honestly. Mm-hmm. Because
Yeah, it's pretty good.
you can say nowadays that it's not an outright horror, but I'm sure for the type of film that it's sort of following in its day in the 60s and 70s, I'm sure this was considered a horror film
Considered
back
horror. Yeah.
then. And looking up Anna Biller, she's sort of I'm trying to use the phrase correctly. I don't know, what is it, proto-feminist or just a feminist sort of filmmaker? And but not in a way where, people are offended by just the ideas of the film, but it's just that she's there's sort of matter-of-factly strong female characters, and it's not afraid to have powerful female characters, that are naked or just doing what they want to do.
Feminist concepts sort of front and center.
Right, and I had actually looked up more about Anna Biller, and I saw she was in a film earlier called Viva, and it's sort of like it's a takeoff on Playboy stuff, and just to sort of insult her feminism, she's super hot. But anyway, Thea, about this,
It wouldn't work if she wasn't, honestly.
But like, what's this movie? Let's
Caught me off guard.
let's throw this DVD in the
The
garbage.
person making this isn't hot. I can't take this seriously.
But seriously, folks, she starred in her film Viva, and it's very much like a '60s version of this. It's just an equal to version of this film, but it looks like those sort of. Remember those small short sequences?
Same kind of like color palette, or
Yeah. It looks. I think all her films sort of share the same '60s sort of look to it, and.
What's weird is when they pull out cell phones in this movie. It's so
Yeah, that's when I
or
realized.
They pull up in a modern day BMW in like the second scene.
I'm a disgrace of a man because I don't know the years of cars. I just know like a Volkswagen and stuff.
I don't know that shit.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No, I don't know.
But once
but you can tell what a modern car looks like
it's sort of like
in front of like.
yeah, true.
I
Especially
have
when
no
she had the
idea
cell
what
phone.
a car is. What's a car?
When she brings out the cell phone, I was like, okay, because a lot of people were saying that about It Follows, that you can't tell what year it is, and I was like, well, what are you talking about? It looks like it was like in at least 2000s, but people were saying that there's no sort of distinct sort of technology in that film besides the small sort of iPad, or I mean, like
e-reader thing.
Yeah, there's a
Well, they're at the beach. Beaches didn't exist until the late 90s.
no, but one thing about It Follows is the girl sort of had this weird sort of a eye touch or something, that it was in a seashell, and she was reading a book on it. So people were saying, "Oh, what year is this?" Because they couldn't tell when it was. But in this film, I only assumed it took place in the late '60s, just because the way everybody spoke and looked, and the way the film obviously looks itself. But then one of the characters pulls out a cell phone and calls the main character, and I was like, okay. I was like lost for that second there, but for the fact that
awesome restaurant they were in, like I would like love to eat there. The pink one with the tea and everything.
The Victorian one?
So
Yeah,
the Victorian tea room with the hot lady?
Yeah, the Victorian tea room. That's like the best fucking place in the world. I would like pay money so much.
That lady playing that harp had the cheapest shake and go wig.
Did she? I cannot tell. As a man, I really cannot tell what the hell of anything.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, it's like she took it out of a bag from the dollar store.
Did she? But reading the interview with Annabella, two things that I read about her is that I think she's also an actual artist. That might have been her paintings that I can't tell that were on the walls and stuff. Like Danny really liked those paintings, right?
Yeah, like did the director make that art, you think?
I don't know. I was reading an interview where she had 2 points where she's an artist, and she said if she couldn't work on actual film itself, I think she doesn't want to work on video or digital. She says if she couldn't work on film itself, then she wouldn't do film at all. And then she actually takes this stuff pretty seriously. Like, it's not a comedy to her.
Yeah.
There are parts of it that are very funny. Like, I thought watching it, when I first saw it, I was like, is this shit for real? Like, watching it? But not in a bad way, but I was like, is this, like, serious? Like, what's going on with this film? But
I found a lot of it to be... I feel like it would have played better comedically sometimes.
I think so, too. But the parts where I thought it was an out-and-out comedy, because there was up to a point when she meets that first guy, you know, the teacher...
The libertine.
Yeah, and he starts falling in love with her, and then he starts crying, and it's almost like a sketch comedy. Like I was laughing.
So
I know, I was laughing watching that stuff, and I was like, "This is hilarious."
I just like the point where she tells him there's drugs, that she drugged him, and he gets all excited. It's like, oh, okay, this is really funny.
Yeah, because you think it's like the '70s, and I was like laughing, and then I was watching.
Some of the acting was particularly like, okay. Wow.
Especially the main boyfriend towards the end has some pretty horrendous acting. But anyway,
the cop?
Yeah, I thought he was pretty. I mean, he
wasn't so bad.
He's sort of a.
It was mostly that first guy. That first guy was rough.
Sort of the gumshoe.
No, I thought the first guy was hilarious.
I thought he was hilarious too.
Yeah, it was funny, but I couldn't tell if it was on purpose.
I thought everybody was.
I think it was supposed to be like a joke.
I thought everybody was sort of spot on in the film. Like in what they were portraying, like the one guy was the uptight sort of pilot. The first guy was, like you said, the libertine. I think they were, and the guy was playing sort of a stuck-up cop with a stick up his ass and stuff like that. And but Thea, why don't we set up this film? Like, what's going on in the world of the Love Witch?
So the Love Witch is a young woman who is fleeing her previous home where she was married, and she murdered her husband. Her
husband Jerry. What Jerry looks like a guy you could walk through Lower East Side of New York City, because that guy looks like a rock star. Like, he looks like one of those sort of modern day hipster rock stars with the big hair and stuff. It was very disturbing. I was like,
well, he looks very 70s. Like, he looks very of that era.
Steven Wozniak. Anyway, continue, Thea, please.
Mm-hmm. She's fleeing basically the cops because they were sort of had her as a person of interest in that murder, but couldn't peg her for it because she had used magic to do it, I guess. Poison him or something. And now she is in a new place trying to find love with the help of magic.
And what is...
being a witch.
So she never learned. She never
fucking learned.
And she had...
Even when she found true love.
She has a friend named Trish who kind of just pops in and out, Laura Waddell, and leads to a very comedic single white female sequence towards the end of the movie with no reason.
Yeah,
I gotta say this, Trish with the wig on, smoking hot.
Creepy.
Oh,
Did it
okay.
for
That
you?
was two different things
No,
for
I
us.
thought it was creepy. I thought it was really creepy.
I thought it was pretty creepy.
Trish fit more my archetype than Elaine did.
Oh,
Although
no.
Elaine,
So wait, let me ask you: does Elaine not have hair like that? Does she wear a wig? All
no,
the
that's
time?
just
She wears
extensions.
a wig
Women
all the
tend to
time.
wear extensions to sort of make their hair look a little more,
I mean, she takes
Oh.
a wig off like 4 times in the movie, so yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't notice it really until like it really was like focusing on it.
I will say this.
Well, because she has long black hair, but like the wig, it's just like a top piece basically. She just pops it right on her hair, and it's longer than her hair.
That is so strange.
the cast,
Weird. I was like, her hair is the same.
the cast
Just, like,
facially,
bizarre.
like I don't really stare at white people that much, but these people all look like the faces of people from the 60s and 70s. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
Samantha
It's
Robinson.
it's really the makeup and hair, I guarantee.
Yeah, that's true.
and the Technicolor.
Samantha Robinson as Elaine looks like a woman straight out of the 60s. Like, she looks like, if you were to turn on some old footage, she looks like a woman that
Mm-hmm.
popped out of like one of those classic sort of beauties that they had on
Actually,
television.
the most like '60s vibe I got was the the male witch.
Yeah.
That was like her teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Is
That
that
guy was like so absurd.
is that
He reminded
Gahan?
he reminded me of the conspiracy guy from Stranger Things, who was also in a bunch of other things.
Oh,
Brett
oh,
Gelman.
okay.
A little bit.
Are you guys talking about
So I
Gahan,
kept,
right? The main witch guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
kept
main
just
witch guy,
imagining
yeah.
Brett Gelman in that role.
Yeah, Brett Gelman. Yeah, that's sort of that skis guy. Like that guy was my favorite
Yeah.
character in the film, but he was, I guess, the kids would say problematic for stuff that he did. But I guess
And as he's like touching the girls, and you could tell that they're kind
Yeah,
of
it's
creeped
really
out a
gross.
little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta say, I also liked
Fuck.
I also like Jennifer Ingram as Barbara. You know, the other high priestess woman. Like,
Yeah,
I was like obsessed with her nostrils, and I don't know why. But I was just looking at her nose, and I was like,
that's weird.
I couldn't tell, like, cause like
Do you think she did magic on you, booger magic?
with her booger magic. But she was good, but like her acting was a little strange too. But I couldn't tell if that's on purpose of everybody, you know, of the film itself, because she sounded like one of those films from the '60s where you're learning stuff. You know what I mean? Like she sounded like information. She didn't sound like she was talking normally to another person. Sounded like she was always
They were
on.
going for that kind of like weird.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
cheesy
that's what it
sort of
was.
Dragnet vibe.
Yeah, like I feel like they studied sort of like how to deliver
Right.
for a lot of them, because
Yeah, there was a lot
it
of,
sounded
like-
like the delivery of the 70s, sort of.
Even like the whole fucking scene where they get married and everything. Like it was like so over the top,
Uh-huh.
like cheesy '60s.
Yeah.
Like there's no like I don't know.
And
It
the
was,
same
like,
coven-
crazy
I mean,
accurate.
they stumble on a Ren fair just randomly, and she's like, "Oh, I know these people," like for no reason.
I mean,
But
do
then they all
you
go into song perfectly.
do you think she set that up though? She must have set that up
No.
to. It was the same coven. Oh right,
don't
they
know.
did run
Oh,
into.
No, I
maybe.
don't think
because-
she. I don't think she did set it up. Actually,
That's right, because Barbara was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Oh, but then again, she could have been acting. I don't buy
I've
that.
been lying.
I don't know.
Although
No,
Barbara-
I don't think
Barbara
she
was
set
not
it
a
up.
great
I think that
actress.
was supposed to show like genuine love, and then this fucking idiot screws it up.
Well, to be fair, she had already done the damage. Like she'd already murdered.
Yeah, she murdered people, and then I think that it was.
She couldn't really fix that.
What did you think was the?
Yeah, but she could have. She could have just tried to find love without murdering people.
But she wasn't. She was on her
Yeah, but
own
it was
path.
too little, too late, right? Just too little, too late.
I think she's supposed to be sort of the antithesis of a guy looking for women in a film. You know, he's just sort of search and destroy, where she is doing exactly the same thing a guy would in a film, but the men are literally dying
But for
out of
love.
falling in love with her. So, but what did you think? I mean, is this a film for everybody, or do you think this is for a very niche, obscure sort of audience?
Thea,
I feel like
Thea
you.
with your boogers.
I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to get sort of at least visual references. Like if you haven't seen a movie from that era, you're going to be a little confused, probably.
I think if you're aware of that type of cinema, you'd be fine watching it as sort of
Yeah.
a weird curiosity. Because I enjoyed it, but I would not like want to watch movies from the late '60s and '70s that are in this vein. I'm not talking about like
Right.
Rosemary's Baby
in
or stuff
general,
like
you're
that. That
talking
like
about
you're right.
This actual thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like the real low budget sort of weird, obscure, hippie sort of drama stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really picky with them. actually.
So I mean, I think if you're looking for it as sort of this weird sort of experiment for film, I think it's well constructed. I think it's a little bit overlong, but I think it's supposed to feel that way. It's supposed to feel weird, and because I mean, there's shots of her pouring tea, and I'm like, did she poison the tea? And it's like, no, she's just pouring tea, and I was like, okay, like.
Well, I think you're supposed to
those
wonder
were the kind of
if
shots
she
they
poisoned.
did.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I figured. I like. Anna Biller was.
I thought that was more of a stylistic thing.
Right. Anna Biller was saying that she wants people to take her film seriously, but she also understands that she will always put a level of campiness into her film because she likes doing that. I guess the same way John Waters would in his films. So I think maybe they're treating their material seriously, but there's always going to be a level of, a ha-ha wink to the audience no matter what they try with the material. And are there negative things you can talk about this film that sort of turned you off? Or do you think it's sort of a...
Honestly, I was really into it the whole time. It fucking looks beautiful. I enjoyed all the characters. Like, I love the way it ends and everything. Like, the ending was amazing.
I love that when the guy's Griff's face turns into that skull. Like, it's totally like...
Yeah, that was funny.
And the green screen stuff, since everything is so flat looking and colorful... Like whenever an image was superimposed over another thing, it looked completely like flat, almost like a comic book, and it looked fantastic. Like the aesthetics alone of this film are fucking incredible. Like just the look of it, just the fact that obviously they're doing stuff that they could have done in the '60s, and you have a way to perfect it now since we're so much better at post production. Right. But I mean, it looks absolutely incredible.
But
just
to my
the look of
understanding,
it.
she did it the old school way. She didn't use digital technology. She did it on film and like cut the film and everything.
Oh, did she?
You just know how to do more.
Yeah,
so
I think she did it.
You can get it right the first time instead of experimenting like they probably would have back then.
Right. I mean, and trust me, there's plenty of films in the '60s and '70s that tried weird stuff. Like, remember Houseu, that Japanese horror film in the house?
Right.
Yeah.
Like how...
Actually, yeah, this reminded me visually a little bit of that.
I would love if Anna Biller ever did a haunted house movie in that same vein, but I don't think she... Well, I guess she could do something wonky like that. But it has that same sort of element of like, wow, that's really beautiful and colorful. If you're into like artsy stuff, this is completely worth watching. Myself, I felt a little overlong, but that's just because my attention, I'm just like, I think I have an ADHD sort of thing going on. And, but I watched the whole thing. I would go back and forth watching and coming back and forth. Because I didn't want to make a disservice towards the film by not paying attention to it.
The silliest part was definitely when the cop punched the other cop for saying he was in love. Or whatever. He's like, I'm not in love.
And people were...
Yeah, he punches him in the face.
And people were all cool.
It's so goofy.
And it was weird to see, like, people were all fine with witches in the neighborhood. But I guess that's sort of like how Salem would be, I guess, nowadays. And I really like the whole ritualistic scenes. I don't know, I assume Anna Biller was respectful to the actual, Wiccans and witchcraft and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I don't know that world. So if anybody who's a witch or a Wiccan...
I looked some of it up, and I was, like, just curious, and it seemed like it was pretty accurate. And then the whole, lynching scene where they tried to, like, kill her.
And they tried to fucking...
Like, just out of nowhere, it's like, it's a witch!
They had to fit in, an almost rape.
Put it in.
An almost rape into the movie. They had to do it.
At least it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
It
almost happened.
But when I saw it, I was like, uh-oh.
I was like, fuck.
Do you think that was speaking more towards the feminist angle of men trying to silence a woman or something like that? Like, this was like they would burn a witch and then it became... I don't know. I'm not putting you as the only woman who speaks for all women. I'm just asking.
That's it's very heavy-handed. It's always... Okay. If it's a witch movie, there's going to be an element of that, right? Like,
yeah, I didn't take it that way because honestly, they would have been correct to kill her in this movie.
I will say that's the first time.
She's fucking murdering people,
I will say that's the first time I've ever seen an attempted rape in a witch movie. For me, I've never seen that ever until this movie.
It was just weird.
Yeah, it was out of left field. Like, I don't know. They didn't do that in.
He was just adjusting his belt.
Over top of her, pulling her pants down.
Maybe he had a cramp or something.
As one does.
But I do like the whole I don't understand. He saved her, so there must have been some feeling towards her at the end.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why. But she gave him this look, and I don't understand the the sort of the significance of the card. I think that with the heart with the 3 swords in it. Do you think maybe that's because she could never find love, or she found somebody she could love that would never love her, and that's why she started having that freak
because
out?
she knew there was no way out. She was doomed.
In what? In not finding love, you think?
No, in getting caught. Like, there's no way out of this. This guy's gonna make her go to prison. That's how I took it.
That could be that, because he was giving her that
it's-
look at the end, but I wasn't sure.
Do you want to know what it actually means?
Did you?
Lloyd?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course,
please. Tell me.
It's the 3 of Swords is the card. And the card means, upright means painful separation, sorrow, heartbreak, grief, or rejection. Which basically means, like, every time she found love, she would be either rejected or find grief somehow. Which is why she kept turning it up constantly. It was because that was sort of what she was doomed to have.
And
So that was
happened?
that was just the card of the tarot that she kept turning up, which they never really explained.
I'm
which is
still confused.
why it's confusing, but
She's such a crazy person. I love when Trish is like all crying about her dead husband that she'd killed,
I know.
basically, and she like doesn't care.
She's
like
super
like, I have
chill.
to go. See you. Like
She's like, have fun with that. You're wearing black and everybody else is not, and it's
And I think
striking.
Trish tried to do some Carrie thing where she was like trying to make her crash her car, but obviously that didn't, because she said crash, crash, crash. She went like that, like speaking
Yeah.
herself, but it didn't have him because Trish obviously gave the material to Griff later on, and ran off. In short, what do you guys feel as a whole about this film? Like, did you feel like you learned anything about the, or found anything different about this movie, or you thought it was just a
Today
nice,
I
weird
learned-
sort of film?
Thea, take it with your boogers.
Stop.
Sorry.
Don't make fun of me. I liked the movie. I mean, I really enjoyed it, what it looked like,
Right.
and I enjoyed the amount of craft and work that they put into the script, into the acting, into everything. I didn't love that it was anachronistic in terms of like it's set in modern day.
But you don't really
And
know that
I was like-
until
I
one
know,
point.
but I was like, why is that? It just didn't. It didn't do anything for me.
Did it-
I was
did it shatter the
this is
illusion
such a
for you or something?
referential? Yeah, a little bit. Like it was such a referential
Okay.
movie. Why not just set it in that era instead of pretending that it's modern day? Like it just didn't
Well, it
make
really
it.
didn't
It didn't
make,
make. It took
make
me out
a
of
difference
it.
either way.
No, but it took me out of it because I kept seeing things that were modern, and the idea that it's supposed to be set in modern day didn't make any sense. So I don't know. I just didn't love that part of it. But like everything else was fine.
You know what you should do? You should complain about that part of it.
Danny, what did you think?
I just did.
Well, I'm not going to complain about the things that Thea just complained about because I'm not a copycat.
All right, so what I think... No, go ahead.
Wait, I didn't even say what I think.
Come on, Danny.
I really liked the visuals of it, and I liked all the acting because it was like cheesy and funny and over the top. And that's my done. I'm done. Okay.
Did anybody have a favorite witch that they liked in the movie?
Have a what?
Have a favorite witch?
The male witch.
No,
was very funny.
male witch. I do find myself liking Star a lot. You know, one of those 2 girls that didn't know how to dance.
Just one of them?
Oh my god,
Not
they
both
were
of them?
super hot.
I know,
They're
yeah,
cute.
very, very hot. But then also, you know, it was good. The male witch was very funny, but he is a creeper. I thought aesthetically it's a beautiful looking film. I thought it was a little bit overlong, but I think that's what it's supposed to feel like.
Right.
And I thought as sort of a weird experience for watching on film, I thought it was good. I don't know if I really learned anything by watching the film, and I don't know how it serves feminist cinema, but I think it's good for having a female-led film, and she's sort of doing her thing and without any regrets for it. What rating would you give this film, Danny?
I will give this an 8 out of 10. Killing somebody's husband, and then as they're crying to you about it, just randomly saying, "Oh, sorry, gotta go," and walking away.
It deserves an 8 for the aesthetics alone, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Massive camel tone during a dancing scene. Thea?
I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 silent Ren Fair bands playing at your fake first date wedding.
That's true. That was in her freak out at the end. There was nobody playing music. That was weird. But Danny,
Yeah, they were just strumming.
one more thing. Do you guys like burlesque? Because I realize watching it. Like, I mean, but is it a thing that sort of turns you on,
I
or
like real
do you?
burlesque.
Do you
I don't like.
I like- I like-
yeah, the
there.
burlesque in
funny
this is
burlesque.
the dancing in this is pretty awful. But I'm sure there was
Pretty
two or three real burlesque dancers. I'm sure in the movie. But like the main love witch couldn't dance. Those two Star and Moon girls, although Star was very
They
hot,
could not
couldn't
dance.
dance. Burlesque, I don't know, does anything for me. Titillazing wise, I think it does for Danny's
just fun.
in love
It's
with
fun.
burlesque dancers. I know that. Me,
I know a couple of people that do it and are quite good.
I'm so
Yeah, it doesn't turn me on though. It's just
No,
fun.
no, I just like.
okay.
the
I thought
delicate-
I was alone because I'm so jaded by all the crap I have done and have seen with lovers that I need like an old man to cut his brains out on my head to turn me on anymore. Anyway, with that,
Wow, there's the boner.
That you went cannibal with that.
Danny, what's the Thea, what's the final word? Excuse me.
Fuckerface.
Danny, what's the final word?
Good and perfect.
The horror deconstruction.